Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good following morning. This is AMA number 88. Very auspicious number for the Chinese. They like eights. Very lucky number in China. Anyway, hope it will be lucky for us. Have a good show. Number 88. Today is March 17th, 2022. We are going to talk to two amazing young women from Ukraine that are now in Krakow. We'll hear their stories and learn a little bit about their experience. I'm here with my co-host, Rabbi Avi Baumel, as always.
Purim Sameach, Afreilichen Purim, Chag Chanukah, Chag Purim Sameach, very exciting. We are in the midst of the holy festival of Purim. So enjoy your Hamantashen, get drunk but not too drunk, and enjoy the festivities.
So I want to first apologize. I wrote in my post on the poster, they got it right. The team here got it right, but I got it wrong. And I wrote 7 a.m., 10 a.m., not making the connection that we are 5 hours, 5 hour difference to New York, not 6. And I'm sorry, Saul and everyone else who was waiting for the show an hour ago. I apologize. We kept it at the Krakow time. Sorry, guys. Hi, Jeffrey, and hi, Saul. I see you commenting. Good to see you. It doesn't feel so much. I have to say, Avi, I can't say that it really feels to me very much like Purim this year. It didn't feel like Purim last year either, but
Listen, we had a lovely Megillah reading last night. There were 100 people there. We all stamped out the name of Haman. We had Hamantashen. I mean, what else what else you want? You know?
No, I will talk about that in a minute. I'm just saying, just the general feeling. You know, on one level, it was how do you strike the right tone, and how do you also strike the right tone? We're always mindful that we, the Jewish community in Poland, in Krakow, are a very small community, and how we behave is what people's impression of Jews becomes, right? If you are in Israel or you're in New York City and you do something, you do it as an individual. If you're here and you do it as you do something, you do it as a representative of the Jewish people. And I'm mindful of always striking, not striking a tone-deaf tone when we have events that are public during times that are complicated.
Which is why I think you struck a perfect balance. And I think we did, what needed to be done. It wasn't like a typical year pre-COVID when we have this great costume party and everyone's just, laughing and dancing and getting drunk. But we did fulfill the mitzvah and we tried to, enjoy as it's supposed to be. So I commend you for finding that proper balance.
Well, it wasn't me. We all, all of us did it, but yes, I think it was lovely. And I mean, just to talk us through what we did last night is we had Megillah reading outside, which we also don't necessarily do. To be honest, the synagogue that we now have access to is very small space. It's a former bank. During COVID, I feel a little bit uncomfortable going there and having that be our, where I send people. So of course people are welcome to go, but but there's a little more complicated than usual because of the lack of space. So we thought that we would do something outside, but we didn't really want to do a party outside, not only because of what's going on, but you don't know, you have to plan something. You don't know what could happen. It could be that the night before some terrible thing, the war goes in. I mean, it's terrible every day, but you don't want to seem, people don't understand what's going on, and you don't want them to walk past a Jewish building and see this giant fun party outside, and it looks very, very strange, especially when we've been doing so much and are so focused on supporting Ukraine. Also inside, I was mindful we don't have a huge space. It would have to be in one floor of the building. A lot of our new members and new guests from Ukraine aren't vaccinated, and I was mindful of not having a giant Purim party in the middle of one small. If we had a huge space, then maybe. So the inside didn't seem like a good idea. The outside didn't seem like a good idea. So I think what we came up with was very, very nice, that we kept the march that we do every year, but instead of a festive march of singing and, singing Oseh Shalom and, all these different, positive songs that we always sing, we marched in silence. We wore blue and yellow. And after finishing the Megillah reading, which you did a very very good job at. When I say very good job, I mean fast. We marched, about 100 of us or so marched silently through the streets of Kazimierz. And I thought what something I never noticed, which is unbelievable to me, and I didn't notice it this time until someone pointed it out, that we actually marched down Estera Street, down Esther Street, which of course we do every year because the JCC is right off Esther Street, but I never thought of it before.
Yeah, all of these things are, an intense change, but I guess pre-COVID, it would have been a major crisis for us, but COVID has taught us from a religious perspective, from a Jewish cultural kind of Jewish holiday type of thing, that sometimes things are bigger than us, and security and safety, and we have to make decisions. We have to pivot. We have to change how we do things. So that kind of prepared us for it. And now this is not necessarily COVID, but it's the war that prepared us for realizing that we can't go around and showing absolute happiness. I mean, there are refugees who have nothing, who are constantly coming into the building and are in need and are sad, and they won't necessarily understand the Purim holiday. In fact, they were asking us what exactly we were doing, so we had to explain a little bit. But yeah, we usually have a crazy dance around the Platz Nova, and this time it was in silence. And I think it sent a message, certainly to our community, that we stand solely on the side of the victim here, and against the perpetrator, and we stand for justice. And it's just a terrible injustice that's taking place. And unfortunately, the actual battle, he's going at it alone, and we have to stand with Mr. Zelensky and Ukrainian people as much as we can. As for the Megillah reading, it was fast, and I was mindful of the time. We had the police, sectioned off the streets and everything like that, and the people, they were not letting me get away with any sneaky Hamans. So every Haman that I said, there was a serious Grogger effect, but I think we did it just fine. I just came back. I rushed back from. We have a refugee. A lot of them are in one of the hotels, and one is a member of the Jewish community in Vasilikov. He's an elder man.
He's the president.
The president of the Jewish community. Yaakov, whom we're taking care of a lot, and he asked me before I left, can I stay here? Can I stay here? Like, he really has nowhere else to go. So we're doing a big mitzvah to help him. And I went with Shabbos, and we read the Megillah, and I did it in, wow, I think I did it in 10 minutes. So there was a little less fanfare and drama and a few Hamans, but we got the point across, and it's nice to be able to give him a little taste of
I think that if he sees how fast the Megillah reading is in Krakow, then he definitely is going to want to stay, Avi. So you and I, since we last spoken, no, we went to the border on Monday. Today is Thursday. That was a
very interesting trip.
The time is a little compressed, as it has been in COVID time. But it's interesting that not only is all this happening, which is this very intense period, but coming on the heels of COVID, it makes it even doubly so, because everything kind of got slowed down during COVID for most people. And then suddenly, it's almost like if you're a runner and you haven't run for a while, and then suddenly you have to go run a marathon, as opposed to sort of being in your normal shape, right?
Absolutely. It certainly feels like a marathon here. There's so much to do, and you need to get the whole place, in order, for everyone to be on board to understand the job, the task at hand, so that no one falls between the cracks, and that's just amazing. Yeah, our trip to the border.
It was your third trip to the border, and my second.
Yeah. It seems to be just a place we keep ending up at, because that's the meeting point of all the refugees, and therefore so many different organizations are there trying to help as much as possible. So what's amazing is the meeting that we had, the people that we got a chance to talk with, these rabbis. They
Right. So we should give a little context that we were invited to meet. There was a group of rabbis who came from UJA Federation in New York, who's a great supporter of ours, partner of ours. We work with them on many, many different levels over the years, and have a lot of there's a lot of connections going on there. And they were in Warsaw and Lublin, and then went to the border. And they thought it would be nice for the rabbis to be able to hear about what we're doing here in Krakow, since they weren't able to visit. So you and I drove out, and we met the rabbis near the border at this sort of center. We talked about it last week. This processing center, I guess, for there's no good term. Processing. It sounds almost like you're creating something with them, right? Like this center where the refugees go and are then sent onward and provided with help. The center near the border. So anyway, we met them there, and then we traveled with them to the border.
Well, first we went to a train station.
Oh yeah, we did. Oh yeah, we did go
The
to
train station wasn't actually that exciting.
And the synagogue.
Right. The train station, what I thought was interesting was there were all these buses outside, and I went and spoke to someone. I said, what are you doing here? He said, we're from Denmark, and we're just, this is one of like 20 buses. And we're just going to the train station and saying, who wants to go to Denmark? We can provide you with food and with lodging and with this and with that. And it's amazing. European cities, countries are saying, we'll take you. And these Ukrainian refugees, they're like, can you imagine just going and saying, okay, I know nothing and no one and no language, but the bus was full. People are in need of love and support. And if it's going to be in Denmark, it's going to be in Denmark or wherever it is. So, that was remarkable.
Really remarkable. Absolutely. To see something like this. You can't help, if you have a sense of scope and history, you can't help but also think that, one, as a Jew, you think the world didn't open its arms to us, and there were quotas, very strict immigration quotas, which caused a lot of more people to be murdered than could have been avoided. Our history, very difficult history, turning ships around the St. Louis and many times, many other examples of this. But even to bring it back closer to history is, what the recent refugee crisis on the Belarusian border, when the refugees were much darker skinned. And I think that the world is Europe and the world are reacting in a certain way. And it's hard not to feel a little twinge of sadness to say how we do a better job of caring of people that look more like us than we do of people that don't look like us.
Although I have to say that Germany, they learned their mistakes in the past, and they said open door for anyone at all times. And they make no mistakes about that. They say it very clearly. But
the Polish response was very different. I mean, we've been involved in not only clapping ourselves on the back, but people, organizations, other organizations, individuals in Poland were doing what they could for the refugees that were coming in from Belarus, or being sent in from Belarus, from the Middle East. But the country, the society as a whole, and the government certainly wasn't responding in any way related to what we're seeing today. And it was really, in many ways, not a very welcoming response. And, these people were also had nowhere to go and were in terrible situation. So, but yes, but I mean, no, I think that the most proud I've felt of having Polish citizenship in the 20 years I've lived here, or the 8 years that I've had it, has been seeing Poland open its heart to the refugees.
Yeah, and all you need to do is just go downstairs to our supplies, center point room, and just see the faces. You see the mothers, scrummaging through the clothes. Some of it is new, some of it is old, and they have no embarrassment. They're trying to find supplies and what they need, and laundry supplies, and it's really, it's quite sobering for us who have 30 shirts and 20 pants and 40 shoes, and how much do we need and how much do we have? And they just want to go home, like you said. They're doing what they need for now, the resilience of the human spirit, but they want to go home.
Most do. So we now, instead of talking about the Ukrainians here in Krakow, we are going to talk to two of the Ukrainians who are now here with us in Krakow. Two young women that we've gotten to know a little bit over the last couple weeks, and are really fantastic, strong young women, mothers. So we have with us here, first we have Anna Belenkaya, who's an English teacher. She has two children, and she is from Kiev, and came here the first day of the war. So we met Anna really what feels like a very, very long time ago, but was 3 weeks ago, or yeah, 3 weeks ago we met Anna, but it seems like we've known Anna forever. And also in the pink with the shorter hair, the darker hair, we have Anastasiia. Anastasiia is with her 5-year-old daughter here in Krakow. Her daughter goes to Frida and has been going to Frida for a while. And she is from Mykolaiv, which is close to Odessa, a city in the south. And she's actually working at the JCC and helping us here as a translator, and helping us work as we try to help the Ukrainians. So first of all, Anna and Anastasiia, welcome. This is Rabbi Avdi and I, who, both of us, we do this every week. We interview different people that we know, and we're very honored to have you both as guests this week.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anna, you're still muted, so I'm gonna
I think I heard her.
Unmute. No, you heard Anastasiia, because I see that Anna is muted. If you can, oh, there we go. Now Anna's unmuted. So Anna. So let's start a little bit, just kind of get a little bit of background. So Anna, maybe talk a little bit about what your life was like in Kiev.
Oh, it was perfect, really. Yeah, so I'm a Kiever. I've been living in Kiev for all my life. All the generations, my mom, my grandma, my grandpa, they're all from Kiev. So this is my native city. I like it very much. I know everything about Kiev. And I'm a teacher of English and German languages. I had 4 jobs at the same time before the war, so I was very busy and hardworking. My kids, they went to school there, so it was a perfect school for them. We had very good accommodation to live. We spent time together with our family. At weekends, we went to parks, to different places, to the malls, to our friends. So it was like the life was very good. And everything changed on the 24th of February in the morning at 5 o'clock. I woke up because I heard that first I thought it was something like fireworks, but I saw the people running to the cars together with their families when I watched out of the window, and I understood that it couldn't be fireworks at 5 o'clock in the morning. And then I heard the phone call of the sister of my husband, and she told that the war started.
So tell me something, because there were troops were massing. So it wasn't, it was a surprise because we didn't know that it was going to happen. But, Russia had been threatening Ukraine. There were troops outside. Did you think that war would happen? Or did you think that Russia was just trying to pressure Ukraine by putting the troops?
Yes. All our friends, they told us that we need to leave the country as soon as possible. But we said no, because it can't be like this. This is the 21st century, the center of Europe. And we didn't believe that something like this can happen. So that is why we stayed in Kiev for the last minute. And it was a huge surprise for all of us, because we saw that it was just, like a political thing that Putin, he told that he could, it was like, he was just, we thought that everything is like, that he tried to do something politically to Ukraine, but not that he will start this war, and that is why I don't know what to say. It was a huge surprise.
I think for all of us. Anastasiia, so maybe for the same question to you, maybe talk a little bit about you have a 5-year-old daughter who goes to Frida. You're working here now. We've hired you, but your husband in Ukraine. So maybe can you talk to us a little bit about where you're from? And what your life was like, in Ukraine, and maybe also why you speak such good Hebrew.
Yeah, I was born in Ukraine, in Nikolaev, but when I was 13 years old, we moved to Israel. We did Aliyah, and I lived few years in Israel. After that, I back to Ukraine to study medicine, and also I get married after that and stayed in Ukraine. And for this time, in Ukraine, I had my business. I promoted vegan food in Nikolaev because it's like we don't have so much vegan food, and it's still raw, this field. So I did hummus, shawarma, vegan burgers, and also healthy desserts with no sugar and vegan, also vegan. And as Anna said, we woke up at 5 o'clock because our military airport was destroyed by Russian missile bombs.
Yeah.
And I was mentally prepared because I know what is war from Israel, but I felt more safe in Israel, because we have like Kippad Bartel, this iron
anti-missile system.
Yeah. But in Ukraine, we have like bomb shelters that they are from Second World War, and we can use them. They are not prepared for
real war.
For real war. Big part of them they taken for business or just destroyed.
You've been repurposed for not for the reason to help people.
Maybe
Anastasiia, tell us. So you what was that like? So the war starts. You're there with your husband and with what was the decision like to leave? How did you decide where to go to and that whole process?
Yes, so we were prepared a little bit. We had this emergency bag and some first aid kit, and we have friends in Krakow and also in Netherlands, but Poland is closer to Ukraine, so I went here. But it was a long way. As I said, we woke up at 5 o'clock. And at 6, we already were on the road.
Wow. You were driving in a car?
One more time, please.
In a car? You drove in a car?
Yeah, my husband. So we went to Chernivtsi because we already knew that in Lviv and western part of more close to Poland will be crowded with people already in 24th. So we went to Chernivtsi. There was a lot of place. So we moved to hotel, lived there, I don't know, for 5 days maybe. And also there started this air alarm.
Sirens, yeah.
So we decided to cross the border in Romania. And there was some group of volunteers and head of this group was Bogdan Tanasa. He volunteers all over the Romania. So he gave us not this refugee camp that you sleep in huge space with a lot of this beds. He gave us hotel it was private room just for me and daughter. They gave us food, they gave us everything we needed. And the next day, this Bogdan, he found me some woman. They had a car, but she didn't know how to drive. So we next day we ride through Romanian mountains to Hungary. It was very hard road because this
winding roads.
Yeah, with snowfall and everything. It was my first experience, but it finished well. And we slept Hungary, and after that, next day we ride to Krakow.
And
Yeah,
and
so
so your husband drove with you to the border, and then he had to
yeah,
stop
yeah,
because men have to
yeah,
stay in the country.
yeah. Now he's still in Chernivtsi.
Mhm.
He tried to work and help to Ukrainian army
Mhm.
as possible.
Thank you. And Anna, so you found out maybe also about your day, how you left, what was your experience like leaving Ukraine and getting to Krakow?
We went through, firstly, we went through Zhytomyr. This is a city not far from Kiev. We saw the first Russian plane hit by Ukrainian troops. So this was the first experience. And after this, we went to Rivne and then to Polish borders. But it took us 3 days to cross the border. So it took us 12 hours to get to the border, but it took us 2 days, like 48 hours to
That
get to the
experience,
border.
what was that? I'm sorry for interrupting. Just
Mhm.
excuse me. What was the experience like on the border? You said it took you 2 days at the
Yeah.
border. So which border crossing was it, and what were you doing for that 2 days?
I think it was Yabluniv, and there were huge lines. People were fighting, quarreling. I had 2 accidents with my car. I was driving without sleep, without taking food or without drinking, and
Yeah.
people were very nervous and very worried about everything. A lot of people, they didn't take lines. They forgot about all the rules how to drive. That is why I scratched my car. I was very nervous because I had my kids inside the car, and it was terrible because these lines were very, very difficult, and they passed very slowly. It was like I don't know, half a meter in 3 or 4 hours, and the worst was that a lot of people, they were crossing the border on foot. So we took 2 more people from Ivano-Frankivsk to our car.
I think you froze for.
So we took them to our car, yes, and they just asked for help. They saw that we have some space in our car, so we took them, and we were driving together with them all these 48 hours.
Wow.
So,
And why did you decide to come to Krakow?
because we have friends here, my former classmate.
Olena?
No, her husband, Vlad.
Her husband. Yeah.
Her husband is my classmate. So, just before the war started on the 19th of February, we had this anniversary graduation. Like it's been like 20 years since we graduated school.
Reunion, a class reunion. Yeah.
Yes, reunion. So it was a huge party. And Vlad, he came to Kiev, and on the 21st of February, he left Kiev. So it was very successful because he was very lucky. After this, the sky began to close, and it was very difficult to come to Poland this time. So he was very lucky that he just managed to do this on time. And as he heard that we had war, that the war started, he called me and he asked if I need any help. And I told him that we go to Poland. So he said, okay, you can come to me all together, stay with us. There's no problem with this. We will help you. We will do everything we can. So, and I highly appreciate this help, because right now we stay with them and they help with everything we need. And my highly appreciation for JCC. You also help us a lot with food, with school. Thank you very much for everything. And I feel that Polish people and the organization, they help us very, very much, and they help us with everything. And I even couldn't imagine that we will have this here. This was the Yes, it was a huge surprise because
Oh,
before that, a lot of Ukrainian people, they said that, to tell the truth between us, that
Yeah.
Polish people, they don't like Ukrainians, we have this. And when I crossed the border, a lot of Polish people, they gathered together around this border. They gave us hot tea, they gave us sandwiches, they asked whether we need help, whether we need accommodation. And I was so surprised and shocked, and it was so kind and warm that I felt myself like at home.
And what about you, Anastasia? What is your reaction been to how have Poles reacted in your opinion to Ukrainians? Has it been positive? Are you surprised by that?
Yeah, I was so surprised, almost shocked. I don't know what from war or from this help that different countries gives us. We really can feel it, because in Ukraine we are not used to believe to other people, to expect some help, anything. We just we feel that we are alone, even when we in surrounded with people.
Yeah.
But as we can see, it's very hard, very big problem, and all countries help us. And yeah, GCC, I just couldn't imagine that I can receive such big help here.
No, I want to ask you about. Thank you. It's our pleasure to you're both enriching our city and enriching our community. How has your daughter been? Because I get to see her when she comes in, and you take her at the end of the day when you're done. How is Vitalisa? First of all, it's a very beautiful name. How has your daughter? How has she adjusted to her time in Krakow with you?
She first she had a problem with her behavior. Once more, because we used to, if you have something, you should protect it. And here, people more like they want to help her.
Yeah.
She can't believe them. So she had some little issues with this. But now, after a week, she's fine. Yeah.
I want to tell you, Anastasia, I was just in the Friday, and I've been there a couple of times. My daughter is very comfortable. She's singing with the group. She's dancing. She's very assertive. They like her. So I'm really,
it's the
really
best
happy.
place for her. I believe it.
What about your children? You have an 8-year-old boy and a 2-year-old daughter who are in school. I know they're in school here in Krakow. How has that process been for them?
Well, school is perfect, Firstly, the educational system here is not so difficult as in Kiev.
Oh.
Yes, because we have huge piles of homework for our kids. They need to write from dusk till dawn, So here they just, it's not like education, it's like a rest for them. It's like amusement park, They just go to school and they come back happy.
So west, I think the farther west you go in the world, the easier the education becomes.
Yes. Yes, maybe. That firstly, my daughter, she's at the 9th grade in Ukraine, and here it is the 7th grade. So that is why she knows everything about mathematics, physics. Right now, it's not difficult for her. Secondly, she knows English well, so it's also not a problem. The only problem right now is with Polish language, but we have classmates from Ukraine in both my son's and my daughter's classes. So they have friends, and the only thing is that they don't understand kids from Poland, but Polish kids are very, very they're very friendly. They always come to them. They 2 days ago, my daughter, she brought some clothing from school because the Polish friend just asked her whether she needs clothing or something, and she just brought her this. So it was very very I was highly appreciate this, and I said thank you very much. So they also want to help us. They always come to them, they talk to them, and I think that my kids, they like this school even more than Ukrainian school right now.
Wow.
Because they don't want to get. I asked my daughter whether she like it or not, whether she wants to go back to Kiev to her school, and she said, "Oh no, I have a lot of friends here right now. I don't want to get back."
That's wonderful to hear.
So,
So
yeah,
the whole world, I'm sure you know, is now obsessed and in love with President Zelensky.
yeah,
Right. We were lucky enough that we met him a couple of years ago. He was here in Krakow. We had a big dinner for Holocaust survivors, and he was the guest of honor. And we got to spend a little bit of time with him, which was very nice. But he was, I don't think anybody expected, this performance, not performance in a negative way, this way that he's been a leader. So tell me, really a question for both of you, and maybe start with Anastasiia. What did you think of the president before the war, and what do you think of how he's handling the country since the war started?
Most people of Ukraine thought that he was clown.
Clown.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but still 73% voted for him. But after that, they thought he's clown.
Yeah.
But I also voted for him, but
Mhm.
I never thought he was clown. I knew that he's smart enough to do, different fields.
Yeah.
He's available
Mhm.
of this, and now he really opens the absolutely different side, and no one can say he is clown. He is the
Yeah. And Anna,
the
what
most.
about you? Oh, sorry.
Well,
I don't know how
Anastasia,
to say it.
okay, Anastasia said that he's a clown just because he worked as a comic. He's an actor,
Yeah.
and not in a negative way like a clown,
Yeah.
just because he worked as a comic. But
Right.
Zelensky is a young leader, and when he became a president, it was very difficult for him to do everything because he wasn't in politics. He was just an actor. He was just a person from like a Ukrainian person whom we trusted. 73% voted for him, and it was very difficult to do some changes because that our economical and political system is very corrupted. So we can't change it in one day or even in a year. It needs some time. But he did some changes, and not all people like it because we had some transformations which were negative for us, like the taxes became high or something like this. But after the war started, we saw that Zelensky is not only a young leader, he's like a hero for us right now. He's I even saw a meme in Facebook, like he's like Iron Man, and
He is a symbol
yes,
of
he's a
our
symbol.
freedom and
Yes,
win
yes. He's like an Avenger who
victory.
saves us
Yeah.
from Putin, from Russia. And every day I see his video conferences to Ukrainian people, and I believe what he says. And I think that this is a leader we need in this terrible time. And because of him, we are so united right now. A lot of people, they believe him, and they do not want to leave the country. They want to fight for Ukraine because they follow him. This is very important right now.
I don't think I've
Do
ever.
most people,
Oh, go ahead, Avi.
do
I
most people
couldn't agree more.
even 3 weeks into it, do most people who are in Ukraine and who are out feel like, no, we're going to still win this? He cannot defeat us. We're going to keep fighting till our last breath.
Yes, it's true.
I
Yesterday, he said that if Russian troops go to the center of Kiev, he will take the weapon and kill them by themselves, something like this. So
Yeah,
we will fight till the end. I know.
and
I trust him.
I knew the mood of our south. We in south of Ukraine have one mood, and different parts of Ukraine also have some thoughts. So when Russian army came to Kiev, we thought 1 or 2 days Kiev will fall. But in few days, when we saw that they can't they can't take the city. So we are like, we believe that we really can win this war. Yeah.
Yes, it's amazing. I think that the world, the world is surprised by the strength, the courage, the fighting of the Ukrainian people. The world, I don't think that I've ever seen a leader captivate the entire world the way that that Zelensky has done it. And for us, from a Jewish point of view, the Jews are usually, we're always, scientists and lawyers and doctors and all of this. And okay, Israel has a bit of a different narrative that the macho Israeli, but certainly outside of Israel, first of all, we're not used to having we're not used to having Jewish leaders of countries. You don't really have very many in the world at all. Certainly not this idea especially during a war of this heroic, like you said, an Avenger. So it's fascinating for us from the Jewish point of view. So I wanted to know, because Anna is not Jewish and Anastasiia is Jewish, so you have both a different perspective. But the idea that people ask about anti-Semitism in Ukraine, and of course you have anti-Semitism everywhere. But this idea that somebody who's an openly Jewish person is elected with 73% of the vote is unbelievable. So maybe Anna, was it a big thing that he was Jewish? Was that a campaign issue? Was that, oh, he's Jewish? Was that a question, or nobody cared too much?
I don't know what to say. We are very open people in Ukraine, so it doesn't really matter for us who's Jewish, who's not Jewish, who's Ukrainian, that before war we even trusted Russians. We are very open to everyone, and I think that it is a plus that he's Jewish, because I believe that Jewish are very smart people. Very good people. I think that we have a lot to take after them. They rebuilt their country from nothing, in the desert. So we need to take a lot of examples from them and learn from them. So I think that it is very good. It's much better if we, for example, had a Russian leader or something like this,
It's very tricky question, because no one don't put attention that he's Jewish.
Yes.
But if he's doing something strange, he's Jewish.
Yeah.
No,
But it's like, it's more joke. It's more like in joke way, It's not that they are blaming him because he is Jewish. No, it's like more funny, between few people. They're like friends, so they can make jokes from each other, but it's not serious.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, other than most recent Jewish president, but did you in Kiev? Did you know of Jewish community? Were you familiar with the percentage of Jews that lived there, or was it a foreign idea?
Yes, I know the Jewish community because I have a lot of friends. For example, one of my friends, she left to Germany as a repatriation. Because she's Jewish, and she went to. We have a Shatarustaveli Street. We have Jewish community there in Kiev, as far as I know. So she went there. She told me about this. And she went to cashier restaurants and and right now she also she lives in Germany right now, and she also asked me if we need help. She can join us to this community, because this community also helps people from Ukraine, but in Germany. So she asked me whether she can do anything for us. So that is why I know the Jewish community in all the countries, they help Ukrainian people right now. And I heard about this community earlier in Kiev. Yes, I know about this. That is why I'm so, I'm very thankful to them. And to tell the truth, I like Jewish people. And I have a great grandmother who kept Jewish family during the World War II. She hired them for 3 years. And right now, when I tell my mom about the story that JCC helped us, she said, that's because our great-great-mother, she saved this family. That's the God who helped us. This is what she says right now.
It's nice to think that across the generations, you can do something nice for people and have your family helped years and
Yes,
years later, when you see
yes,
that there will always be evil in the world, and there will always be a need for people to stand up and help.
yes, yes. Thank you very much.
No, this is
Anastasia, what's the Jewish community like in Nikolaev? Are there a lot of Jews there?
there's a very nice JCC, I heard.
I studied in religious Jewish school in Nikolaev. It's Or Menachem. And yeah, we have synagogues there, and even streets with street of Schneerson, named by Schneerson. And we have also kindergarten, Jewish kindergarten. So yeah, we have a pretty big community. And in school, we had like year טיול שנתי.
Yeah,
כזה.
like a trip, annual trip.
Annual trip to some Jewish places around Nikolaev.
Mhm.
It's some water from underground.
Springs? Yeah, like a spring, maybe?
Yeah. And there was some very important place where someone died and everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jewish history in Ukraine.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
grandfather was born there,
Of course.
not in Nikolaev, but
Near Odessa, Nikolaev, not so far from Odessa, so this is a very Jewish area,
Yeah.
of course. So I have a question for really for both of you: is what's possible? What are the possible outcomes here? Like, what are we hoping that happens? In other words, tomorrow Russia is not going to say, "Okay, we were wrong," and they're going to completely walk out of Ukraine. Of the reasonable possibilities, what do we hope? Oh, I really hope that this ends in a good way. It can't be a perfect way because people are already killed and destruction and torn apart. So it's not a perfect solution. But what would be a good resolution? What are we hoping for when they're talking and when they have these peace talks going on about a ceasefire, about peace? What can we hope for?
We can hope for Putin will die one day,
Well,
maybe.
Yeah.
That we hope that we understand that, as you said, that he won't say, okay, we lost and we go away. No, it won't be like this, but we hope that all the communities around the world, all the countries, they will do something to this, and they will help us to finish this as soon as it is possible. And after this, personally, I want to come back to Ukraine to help to rebuild my country as my city. And my parents, my friends, they mostly all stayed in Kiev right now. So I hope to come back one day and do everything possible to rebuild what is destroyed, to help somehow to my friends, to my family. But right now, actually, I don't know what to do. I don't want to be just a refugee here in Krakow. I want to work to live normal life. I want to maybe to be a volunteer to help other people in Ukraine. And what we need to do now is to tell the friends all around the world about the real situation in Ukraine, because not all, yes, right now all of them know what happens, but we still have friends, not friends, but I personally have, my granddad is Russian, so I have relatives in Russia, but we don't talk to them, and maybe somehow just to explain them that they're not, what they see, what they watch on their TV is not true. Just explain them somehow this situation. And here I want to find some job, to find some accommodation, to just to live a normal life,
well, we will do
yes, all we can do right now, and to help people in Ukraine by volunteering.
well, we will do all we can. You know that we will do all we can to help you. We want
Yes.
you, of course, to go back to Ukraine, but as long as you're here, we'll do what we can. Because of the generosity of our supporters around the world, we're in a position that we can help you. But what from a political point of view, just because we all talk about Ukraine, and we're not really talking to Ukrainians about what they think so much about it. We're all talking about Ukraine. So what if, for example, we have a situation over the last years that Russia has Russia has occupied the Crimea, and Russia has generally occupied the east of Ukraine, these provinces. What if there was a peace treaty that said, that Russia couldn't keep those parts of Ukraine, and Ukraine won't join the NATO? Would that be for you, both of you, acceptable? I'm trying to understand a possible outcome. If something happens to Putin and he falls off a building tomorrow, okay, but we can't count on that happening. So what about
But
that?
we can pray for this.
We should.
If these, like, in other words, if we went back to the situation that it was before the war, but those parts became part of Russia or lost from Ukraine, and Ukraine doesn't join NATO, would that be an outcome you'd say, you know what, it's not perfect, but we can move past this?
We need to join NATO somehow, and we need to join the European Union. This is the only thing we need to do right now. This is my personal point of view, This is the only solution to this problem. Yeah. We can't be alone right now. We need help, and not only help by giving us some weapon or some money. We need to join this community, European Union. We need to join NATO. Then Putin and Russian troops, they will see that we have a real help. Because right now what we see is the world, all this sanctions, they are not, they're economical, but this seems like it's like a help, but it doesn't work right now. Because, for example, McDonald's left or closed 850 McDonald's in Russia, and Russia say, okay, we'll open another restaurant. This is not a problem for us. This is not what we need to do. Right.
The Russians will be healthier. They'll be healthier if McDonald's closes.
They won't be healthier, trust me. But that what I watch Russian news and I watch Ukrainian news just for me to know what they think about this. And all I see is that, okay, they will close some shops. This is not a problem for us. We'll buy something else. Okay, there won't be like McDonald's will open. Right now, they want to open Dядя Vanya restaurants on this McDonald's restaurants. They will just turn around McDonald's. And write down Russian V, it will be Vanya, Dядя Vanya, just like Uncle Vanya restaurants. And they say that they will make their own sandwiches and hot dogs. It's not a problem for them, hamburgers, sounds like this. So, and the problem with Russian people that they don't understand that this is not just because they understand it like, oh, they want to do something to Russia. No, the world don't want to do something to Russia. They just want to stop Russia from the war, inside Ukraine. But they don't understand that. McDonald's left Russia just because the USA is so bad. No, it's not the USA is so bad. It's just
you're watching all this Russian news, this Russian television news, and they're telling the propaganda, something very far.
Yes, they tell
the Russian people don't know. The Russian people don't know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand. Russian people can't access internet, like they can't find out what's really happening from other sites. I know in China they can.
Most people get their news from television.
Yes, from Russia 24, from
and they've banned Facebook. They've banned a lot of portals. It's not so you can't just go and get easy access to news in Russia today, of course. And all the independent news media, this is what for years that Russia has been closing things down. And we start to understand the importance of an independent media, because you have people that are going along with the war because they don't know that they're telling that, Ukraine is full of Nazis and poor Russia is threatened and the world is just against Russia because they're trying to take advantage and Russia is the victim, right?
So you guys think that most Russians, they just had the wool pull over their eyes. They have no idea. They think that...
Yes, exactly. They do not know because, Elena, from JCC, where we stay by her. So she told me that she has relatives in Russia and they called her and they explained what happened here in Kiev, in Ukraine. And what they say is terrible. It's totally different. You know, they say that these are not Russian troops. These are Ukrainian troops who bombed Ukrainian buildings, who kill Ukrainian people, and Russian troops, they try to help Russian-speaking people here in Ukraine. You know, it's terrible. It's crazy.
When my daughter was 2 or 3 years old, she closed eyes and she didn't see us, and she thought that no one can see her. So as I see the situation in Russia, they're like 2 or 3 years old kids. They close eyes and no one can see them, even if they are doing problems. They can't receive the new information. They have their disk and it's full. No new information can go there. That's the problem. I'm not so strong in these political things. I always was like behind it, in the side. But if you cure symptoms, you don't cure the disease. And we need to cure disease. So
what is the disease?
And disease is
Putin?
Russia and Russian people and Putin. Yeah, that's disease, not the
Yes, they're like
symptoms.
cancer.
So if Putin goes, for example, if the people rise up and something happens and Putin goes, you think that there can be long-term, I don't know, not in the short term, but also moving forward, peace with Russia?
You know, Putin, it's not in Russia. Putin, it's not human. It's like a national idea. It's not the
Idol.
man. Yeah,
we've seen
even
something
Putin
like this
dies,
in the United
it's
States.
like Lenin. He dies years. But it's idea. Yeah, they living by idea.
The problem is that they won't do anything because they don't want to do anything. They like him, you know? And I think that the idea of this Russian world, yes, as they call this, it's a real problem right now, because a lot of Russian people, they truly trust that the USA is bad, Europe is bad, that they won't fight this Russian world, and they're very big, they're very huge, they're very strong, that they can conquer other countries just because they're big, they're strong, and they believe Putin. And I think they won't do anything. They want to change the political system right now. Some of them are, of course, understand that this is not true, but they are afraid, because, you know, they have this military regime right now, and they can put people into jail, and it's terrible what happens there. But most people really believe Putin, and that is why I think that anything what happen inside Russia right now, the only thing we can do is just maybe somehow to explain the real situation again. Using independent media somehow, but right now Russia is closing more and more every day, and I mean, they're closing their internet, they're closing their TV from outside information. So I think that in some day it will be like the Northern Korea, maybe like this. It will be
like
very difficult to change something, you know.
I agree. Anastasiia, do you have any, as we just started to close, do you have any final words for people that are watching? What was the message that you would, assuming that there might be a lot of people watching this, although not really, but let's pretend that the whole world can see this, or they'll see it and they'll tell their friends. What message, if there is a message that you would like to say to the world that's watching?
I want to say that we need to trust more to people that help us. And also, if you are in safe place, try to help to others, because there will be a lot of people who go back to Ukraine, but still a lot of people stay here, and also they need help for long term, for short term, and peace all over the world. Maybe, I don't know.
Thank you.
And also, I'm so grateful for all help that GCC and all communities give us. It's priceless. So.
Well, I want to tell you that however much we've been able to help you, and I wish it were more, and I hope we'll be able to do even more, all that you need. I think that you, with your with being your courage and your just strength and resilience, have inspired us. You and your country have inspired the world, and what's happening in Ukraine is going to change the world. Ukraine is standing up. This is democracy standing up against fascism, and this is not only about Ukraine and Russia. This is about the future of the world, and it's just been inspiring for those of us here in Poland that are lucky enough to be here and in a position to try to support Ukraine and to learn from you and to be inspired by you. So thank you. Thank you for being part of our world, for joining our world. I'm sorry that it happened in these difficult circumstances, but we know that we care about you and we'll do all we can.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be well,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Slava Ukraini.
Героям
Героям
слава.
слава.